Hello, guys. So we are live. If you don't mind letting me know in the comments if my audio is coming through fine, if my video is coming through fine. You know, first time, well, actually, technically the third time that I'm doing this, but it's always a bit nerve-wracking to be live. So nice. Thanks, Luke. Appreciate that. Sound is fine. Guess everyone feels the same way, right? Everything seems to work, Matt. Thanks a lot, man. Cool. So in that case, welcome everybody. Nice to see you guys here to chill with me for a couple of hours. So the first two times that I did this live thing, I only stayed for an hour. An hour is not enough because towards the end of the hour, that's when you get people coming in. And that is basically when I was like leaving. So I think 2 hours is going to be nice. So local time here right now is 9 p.m. So I'm going to stay here until about 11 p.m. And obviously, if you guys are around and asking questions and stuff, and we're having fun hanging out, then I'll stay until 11. And as I mentioned in the comments on Twitter, I can actually kind of talk about animation, any questions that you guys have about industry or animation in general, games. And also, I can review shots, animation shots, or showreels, if you guys are okay for me to do it here in front of everyone. So I can see everyone like sending comments, and this is cool. Welcome, Luke. Welcome, Aaron. Nice to see you here. Kendrick, nice to see you. Win, nice. Katia, welcome. All right. So I know I don't have any music, and this is like super low key because I'm new to this. But feel free to drop a comment with or questions with what you guys have about animation. And then as I actually kind of go through the comments, I'll actually kind of start chatting and telling you about experience and, some of the insights of how the games industry works or how animation works in general for all those that don't know. So, yeah. So Chromosome is asking, oh, by the way, I have this feature here that I can add comments. What do you guys think about that? Pretty cool. So Chromosome asks, I was wondering, do you talk about your YouTube channel in the new job, I guess? And how do they react to that? That's a good question. So I try not to talk about it, but people know of the channel, especially my team, and they're kind enough to actually be subscribed. So yeah, from time to time, they actually kind of tell me like, I watched your last video or thanks for the tips and stuff like that. But in all honesty, it might not seem that way in the channel, but I'm very conscious of talking about the channel. For me, I don't really quite realize that people actually watch the videos and then people that I know. So whenever they actually kind of talk to me about the videos that I do and if they're good, if they're bad, things to improve, I feel a bit conscious. I feel a very much like kind of like not talking about it. Like let's move on. Let's talk about someone else. But I need to get over that because yeah, I think more and more people are watching the YouTube videos, and I think I'm getting like really positive feedback, which I'm really thankful for. Thanks a lot for everyone that watches the videos. So yeah, that's kind of how it goes, and I think also the channel has gotten me to places or to meet people that I didn't expect. This is something that I didn't really anticipate. I thought I was just going to help out people, upcoming animators that actually don't have necessarily the resources to actually learn animation. But turns out other professionals have hit me up already, like to tell me like they appreciate my work, they appreciate what I do, and that's really humbling. Some of my heroes. So yeah, that's basically how I feel about it and how it goes in my job and in my YouTube thing. So I mean, the channel is only small, right? I mean, it's only 6,000 people, but I feel like the right people are watching the YouTube channel, especially you guys. So John asks, do animators usually 3D model throughout the workday or usually just animate? All right. So I think, John, like, I think you're mixing two things, I think. So 3D modeling is actually a completely different department. And then animators normally, when they just like work as an animators, they just animate. They do nothing else but animate during the day. That's what you get hired for. Now, having said that, I mean, that's the job of a generalist. And as a generalist, you actually get to do modeling and rigging and animation and a bit of everything. Is a question that kind of pops up quite a lot because people kind of confuse animation with a generalist depending on your background. But the difference between a generalist and an animator, it's basically that. A generalist does a bit of everything, an animator does just animation. And in the industry, games or movies, VFX, whatever, those jobs normally go, like, generalists are normally wanted by smaller studios because smaller studios have a tendency to kind of like have smaller budgets, which means less people, which means that you need to have people that can do more than one thing in order to fulfill the project. While AAA studios, big studios, normally actually hire very specialized people. So if you are an animator, you just animate, you sit there and you do animations 8 hours a day. That's what you're supposed to do. Hopefully that answers your question. How big is mocap in your pipeline? So heads up to everyone, I cannot talk about my current job. It's very confidential for a very good reason. But I can tell you in general how big it's mocap in games, depending on the games, vanilla. So in games, so keyframe and mocap go hand in hand. The more stylistic a game is, the more it kind of drives itself towards keyframe. And the more realistic a game is, the more it drives itself to mocap. So those are the two realms that animators live in, right? Keyframe or mocap. So it's actually quite useful for you to be good at both because you become more flexible in terms of getting jobs. Now, for a realistic game, mocap is huge in the pipeline because what mocap gives you, it actually gives you a lot of animation data, which normally a game requires to put in engine, and it gives you the data quite clean, right? Sometimes you kind of have to massage it a little bit, clean up the data a little bit, put it in game, make it loop, all that good stuff. But you get a lot of animation in a very short period of time. For the games that are more stylistic, that require more hand key animation, they are definitely more fun to animate. So the ones that I have, it's been the most fun, but they take longer because every single animation needs to be labored by hand. It needs to actually kind of have to be done really, really well. So that's why movies like Klaus, 2D animated movies, 3D animated movies have a battalion of animators, hundreds of animators just working on the movie. So it kind of fast tracks the process of animation. But yeah, that's basically mocap versus hand key and how big mocap is. It depends really on the game that you're making. Let me know if that answered your question. So let's see. Oh, questions are getting in really interesting. Thanks a lot, guys. This is great. So plenty to talk about. Let me see. Aaron is here. Jacob. So Jacob asks, and this is a really good question, Jacob, is very true. Is there a lot of jobs for gameplay animators in Europe? I feel like all the studios are located in America or something. Yeah, sometimes it feels that way. It really does. No, there is plenty. There is plenty of jobs for animator in Europe. Matter of fact, I never worked in America. I had a few opportunities to actually kind of move over, crossover, but I never have, and I've stayed here in Europe. So I worked in the UK and I worked in Sweden. But I know for a fact that France also has plenty of jobs. Sweden definitely has plenty of jobs, and it's just growing. UK definitely has plenty of jobs, and then there's like every country has jobs here and there. I think the UK has always been the biggest, but I think things are slightly changing. I think Sweden is becoming the new game hub for Europe. There's lots of good companies over there. Not only Sweden, Nordic countries in general. Um, there's lots of great companies over there. Dice hires hugely. That's the company that I used to work before. And there's quite a lot of companies kind of popping up all the time. So the company that I work for right now, Build a Rocket Boy, just came true like about 3 or 4 years ago. Lots of potential, great people, great talent. So yeah, there's always companies coming up that are looking for new talent. As long as you are talented, as long as you have an amazing show reel, it really shouldn't matter what the job is because people will come and get you. So just think about just making the best show reel more than where you want to work, because I'm pretty sure as long as you actually have a kick-ass show reel, doesn't matter if it's in Europe, doesn't matter if it's in America, South America, whatever you want to go, you will find work. So Chromosome. Ubisoft is everywhere in Europe. Rockstar game in the UK. Yeah, so he's answering the question. Yeah, exactly. So there's plenty of studios all around for everyone to kind of like just apply and work in. So yeah, this the games industry is just growing, and I think this pandemic, as bad as it's been for everyone, because 2020 hasn't been easy for anyone. It definitely showcased that games are really resilient, even in conditions like this, and people want to play games now more than ever. So I think companies are expanding, and the industry is expanding really fast. So I don't think there's any shortage of jobs. If anything, it's going the other way. There's more jobs now than ever. So cheap Carley. Hope I'm saying your name right, or your nickname. What and where is your new job? Congrats. Thank you. Appreciate it. So my new job, it's in Scotland, in Edinburgh, to be more precise. Um, and I work as a gameplay animation director. So I have my own team, and I am basically anything to do with gameplay and animation. It's my thing, and we have to make the best gameplay and animations possible in the whole world. That is the goal. So yeah, that's what every gameplay animator, animation director wants to do, to create the best animations possible for any game. So that is my task, and it's awesome. It's a great people, great place to work in, great people, lots of talent. Yeah, really cool stuff. Look it up. Build a Rocket Boy. Google it. It's very much undercover, but it's a very good company. Let me see. Do you play Warzone? Win asks. No, I don't. I really don't. The last online game, like play with others, that I have played, it's been, I think it was Battlefield 1 before I joined Dice. I think that was basically the last game that I played. It was like first person that I had a lot of fun. Since then, I haven't really played any first person like games, but I've heard great things, and I've seen the videos, and it looks really cool, Warzone. Before the game starts, when players are in the plane, their cloth is sways. Oh, I see. Okay. How do they actually animate the cloth in game? So yeah, that's a very tricky question. So there's always there's new techniques coming up all the time on how to actually kind of solve cloth and fabrics and stuff. But normally there's two ways of doing it. You can bake it into the animation when you're animating it. And also, or you can add dynamic joints. And dynamic joints are basically like you put bones on the cloth, and then the engine kind of just looks at the bones and just starts moving the fabric accordingly. The second option that I just gave you there is the one that I like the most because it's the most dynamic. Now, cloth is always difficult to crack in games, mainly because this simulation is live simulation, and sometimes you go left and right really quick, or you just spawn super quick, and cloth just kind of explodes everywhere. So cloth is a very difficult thing to crack, and I think we haven't really done it quite yet 100% in games. Like we get in there very fast, but I think there's a long ways to go until we get cloth like really nice. Kendrick Sparks. Cool question. So, hey, Harvey, thanks for doing this Q&A. Very excited for your Autodesk talk next week. By the way, yes, very good point. I'm doing a talk with Autodesk. Well, it's not really a talk. It's more like a short introduction, Q&A. Like, yeah, we're actually kind of answering a few questions. It's free. It's called the Vision series. And I'll try and actually link it up somewhere somehow so you guys can see or can register, because it's free, and I think it's really nice for animators to attend, because it's not going to be only me, it's going to be other professionals there from all kinds of like the pipe in terms of like rigging, animation, and more. And you can ask questions to all kinds of professionals. So just like we're doing now, but in a much bigger panel with more professionals, with people that have been working in the industry for even longer than I have. So yeah, look it up, Autodesk Vision series, I believe it's called. And it's going to be, the talk is going to be September 9th, on Wednesday, I believe, next week. So if you can be there, I think it's going to be cool. So Kendrick asks, how much hands-on with engines is expected from game animators beyond importing into engine? So how much hands-on work with engines expected from it? Yeah, so great question. It depends on the engine. It's a very difficult question to ask because to answer, because it really depends on the engine. So I'm just going to talk about Unreal and versus CryEngine, for example. So Unreal, it's very, very good for animators because it's very visual. So what you get with that visual side of the engine, because the UI is so well structured, is that you can naturally navigate towards the buttons that you need to click in order to see your animation. So if you have to create things like blend spaces, for example, which is something that animators create all the time to blend different angles of walks or runs or whatever, it's very easy to do it in Unreal because we have a graph, we have like little dots, you can move them around, and you can see the character doing whatever you animated right in the viewport while you're actually moving things around. In an engine like CryEngine, things are a bit more technical. So the UI, although they are both great engines, the UI is not as streamlined, and it's much more difficult for you to get the result that you would get in Unreal. So you can still get it, you can still get the same result on both engines, but to get to the place that you want to be is much more difficult. And I think part of the reason is because animators are visual creatures, and when things get really technical, and whenever you have to like enter some lines to kind of get to a certain place, or code, or like it's a subtext of a menu that is hidden under something, it becomes a chore. It becomes like super complex and super like, I have to do this every time I import an animation. So depending on the engine, if it's really complex to get to the end result of your animations that you need to actually get to, you might end up spending a lot more time within engine. In Unreal, for example, because it's so streamlined, you can actually spend more time in Maya. So the way I see it is that you want to make your animators spend the most time animating, because that's what they do best, and then the engine should hopefully kind of uplift them and just put the animations in engine, see the animations really quick, debug, come back to Maya, and just continue the process and just continue that circle. In some engines, you just have to spend a lot of time in engine just trying to get to connect the dots correctly, which can be sometimes frustrating. But what ends up happening is that during your first year, 2 years, you actually get to grips with where the buttons are and what kind of things do you have to do all the time. So you end up like after 6 months or so, you kind of know pretty much, if you just animate and import animations in engine, you kind of know pretty much how it goes, how it flows. So it's difficult in the beginning, but after a while, you kind of just go get in the flow and you're like, okay, I have my animations. Now I have to follow these 5 steps and then put it in game and then come back to Maya. So yeah, that's basically the simplest answer I can give you. Yeah, some engines are great for animators, some are not so great, but they all achieve kind of the same. So Mark James Armour. That's a cool name, man. Welcome. So how am I finding the animation industry in Scotland? I'm from Glasgow and I wanted to know what you thought about it. I'm a student at the University of West Scotland and animation mentor. Nice one, nice one. So I hope we cross paths at some point. How am I finding it? I'm finding it super friendly. That's how I'm finding it. People here are incredibly friendly. Everyone wants to connect with each other because there's not a lot of studios here. So it feels I mean, if it wasn't for the quarantine, I kind of would feel like I'll probably have met everyone or had met everyone or would go to the pub and stuff like that. But obviously, it's not possible right now. But at least online, I think we know of each other. We kind of know of people around, and like it's just friendly overall. Just really really cool. So I think if you do get into the industry here and you actually get a job, I think it's a really good place to start animating. It's not really hostile at all. They kind of just take you. They're patient as well. That's what I found. So yeah, I think you're in good hands here in Scotland. Matthew Atkinson asks, what do you think is expected from an intern animator? What duties would they have compared to a regular experienced animator in a studio? Cool. So games is not really like VFX. So in VFX, I think, maybe you guys know this, maybe not, but I'll just say it again. In VFX, there's this idea of a runner, right? So whenever you start, you actually are really not animating, you just like helping others. And then in between, you're running, which means like you're doing things to help out others, not really animating. You actually learning animation from others. In games, an intern animator does exactly the same as a senior or lead does. Well, maybe a senior, not a lead. So the idea when you're getting into games is that you need to actually help out the project and pump out animations and put them in game and stuff. So how much you do is really up to you normally as an intern. So let's say you're like an intern, even though you're junior, or junior or intern, and you just got started. You're really savvy, you're really talented, you can animate a lot, and you know about engines because you studied at home and you know about Unreal and blueprints and all that stuff. And then you start in a studio that actually has Unreal and just wants you to animate. Most games companies, I think all of them that I worked on, they never stop any interns or juniors or anyone from actually trying to overachieve. So if you actually get into a studio and you sit down and you do your animations and import them and all that stuff, and then you show that you can not only do the minimum, but you can actually surpass it and then showcase that you can actually be really good at what you do, they will actually welcome that with open arms, and they will actually probably ask you to do more. And then they'll probably you get you like into a junior position, mid-level, and you'll ascend really quickly, bonuses, all that good stuff. Because yeah, games is an industry that we like to work really hard. But I think any good company will actually kind of recognize your talent as long as you showcase hard work and you showcase that you don't only talk about it, but you do the job, right? You're going to be fine. So yeah, interns in games do exactly the same as a mid-level animator would do, a junior or a senior animator. You just do it slower, perhaps, or you actually don't have so much knowledge, but you do the same. Iñaki asks about the new Macs, Apple Silicon Macs. Yeah. So not so much about animation, but I like to geek out about tech and Apple especially. um, I think I actually don't know what to think about this. I think the Macs are going to be beasts. They're going to be super fast. They're going to most likely be yeah, much faster than the stuff that they did with Intel. So I'm looking forward to seeing what you can get from animation from the new Macs. I keep getting the question about like, is a Max good enough for animation? Really, is not better to animate with PCs, animate with PCs and stuff. And no, I actually think Macs are at the point now. Doesn't matter which Mac you get, they are normally fast enough to run Maya with no problem. So if the new Macs are going to be even faster, even more powerful, then awesome. I got an iMac not long ago, so I probably won't get the new Macs as soon as they come out. But most likely over the next 2 or 3 years, I'll probably upgrade at some point. Chris Rivera. So Chris Rivera, if this is the Chris Rivera that I think we worked together before, cool friend, cool guy. Thanks for joining. Um, how do you find leading a team on a big franchise as Dice at Dice? Did you find it hard to stay creative leading a big animation team? Well, not really. So Dice is a really cool company in the fact that I don't know if it's I never could actually put my finger on it, but I don't know if it was because it was in Sweden or if it was because Dice in general. But they are very creative and they allow people to go about their business. And if you actually are leading a team, then they allow you to lead. The Swedes are good that way. That like no one steps on your toes. They kind of like they recognize that you're the leader, so they actually do the job, and it feels very much fluent in the way that actually you lead a team. So whenever I was leading the team at Battlefront 2, Star Wars Battlefront 2, it was a relatively small team. It was not very big, but we felt like family. It felt great. It was one of the best projects that I worked in so far. I think it shows when the game kind of like started kind of turn around and like become better, and then people started embracing the game again. It was mainly because the team, it was not just animation, everyone felt so united in the fact that we all love Star Wars and we all wanted Star Wars to succeed, Star Wars Battlefront to succeed. And we all knew exactly what we wanted to achieve in each department. So in animations, I wanted to actually create the best personalities, the personalities that kind of like reminded me of the movies. So when I saw Dooku, how did it make me feel? How did I want to play Dooku as a player now that I've seen the movies? Or Ewok, how would I actually want to do it? Or the BB-8, same thing. So that's basically what we strive to do. And based on you guys' feedback, I think we actually kind of did an all right job. People liked what we did. So yeah, it was seamless. It was really good. I really enjoyed it. I miss those guys. They are awesome. So if you're watching this, you guys are great. And yeah, I'm probably need to go back to Sweden to visit at some point because Sweden is a beautiful country. So Chuck, I don't know if I'm saying your name right. Currently student learning animation and trying to do game focused animations on the side for practice. I was wondering if you had any recommendations on what to focus my practice on. So if you're a student and you actually want to work in games, I think the best thing you can do is start small and just do idles, runs, sprints, walks, and put it in game. And then After you have those base assets in Engine running in Unreal, then try to do variations of that. Try to get a character to actually kind of a walk forward and then turn left. How does that look? Because you have to have a 45-degree animation. And then turn right, and the same thing. Turn left, turn right, turn back. All of that stuff needs to actually be seamless. So start small, and then start to expand. How do the dots connect? Because as an animation gameplay animator, your most desired skill is going to be animation first, obviously, but it's going to be if you actually understand how to connect the dots between animation. Because if you have just an animation that looks really, really cool and is like, I don't know, a monkey jumping out of a tree and then going into a rock or whatever, that's cool to see, but it's not practical to put in game. But if you start breaking down your animations in a way that you can put them in game, and then not only can you put them in game, you can actually start connecting them and making them work with a controller, then it means that you actually understand game logic, animation, and you know how to put them together. And that's really valuable. If you can showcase that on a showreel, you're going to be good. I'm just expecting you to learn about the job. So Iñaki asks, what do you think was the success of Pixar and Disney as animation movie studio? What made them different? What made them different from anyone else, in your opinion? The people. The people were the thing that made it different. I think Disney had Walt Disney, and then after Walt Disney, they had quite a few people like the Nine Old Men, right? And Glenn Keane at some point. There was a lot of drivers, people that actually could like knew exactly what that little magic thing was. They could drive things. The force could drive things forward. And then Pixar actually grabbed the same magic with John Lasseter and Nat Catmull, and they actually kind of drove it in 3D space. But it's a good question because people keep thinking about Pixar and Disney, I feel, as like these machines that churn out like creativity with unlimited power, and they can do it over and over again, almost as if it was like a factory. But I really think it's the people. The people are the people that actually drive things forward. And if you have the right people driving the car, then you doesn't matter the medium, doesn't matter if it's 3D or claymation or like illustration, you can actually do great things. I think the medium really doesn't matter. That's why I believe in games so much, because it's just yet another medium that you can express yourself in your animations. So like as long as you have the right people driving it, then anything is possible, right? So yeah, the people. Frostbite Cinematics. Hey, Harvey, I hope you're doing well. Doing really good. Thanks for joining us. Kiwi Doogie. Doggy? How do your previous companies set up organizing different animations within the pipeline, like backups, versioning, or do you keep a bunch of new animation files? So each company is different here, but there is like almost universal. It's not universal, but almost universal piece of software that I've been using for years, and every studio uses it, called Perforce. And Perforce is that thing that the games industry uses in order to actually kind of keep version of files, make sure that files are safe, backed up, all that good stuff. And pretty much everyone in the industry at this point knows how to use Perforce. It's just standard at this point. Yeah, so look up Perforce. It's used by pretty much every studio out there. Mark James Armour, what is your opinion on students getting in touch with animators on LinkedIn for help on demo reel advice? Well, it depends really. I had people coming to me with kind of like rude, kind of like attitude, almost like they demanded feedback. That attitude is never good because I never feel like giving advice when it's like that. But I have given a lot of advice over LinkedIn, and I don't mind people reaching out for advice at any point. Really, I really want to help out as many people as I can. But obviously, you have to come to the person with the best attitude possible, and don't come to them as in like you are asking for a favor only. Just come to them as a friend, as a person that, as you just meet them and you just want to know about them, and I hope all is well. And then if you can just like, if you have time, here's my showreel. But and then yeah, like don't make it as in don't be too greedy in a way. I think that's the best way I can put it, because yeah, we're all busy. I'm extremely busy. I know everyone that I look up to and everyone that I'm in touch with, that are professional animators, they're all incredibly busy. So to take time of your busy time to actually give advice to someone that you just met is normally quite tough. So yeah, but I don't really oppose it. It depends on the person, really. So let's see what else we have. Is being a game is being a game animator a good profession? Does it pay well? So, Gary. I get this question as well in the YouTube videos from time to time, in my YouTube videos, and it does. It really does pay well. It depends what job you're doing and what your level is and all that stuff. But yeah, it's a job that pays well. Like I haven't heard anyone complain about like we don't get paid enough, unless you're contracting, obviously, because there's a lot of that going on sometimes. Especially in the US and in the LA area, there's a lot of contracting going on. But if you're employed full time, you get paid fairly as long as the company is good, and you can make a living, a really good living from animation. So yeah, like I don't, money is not really an issue in animation. The issue is generally getting in, because it's really difficult to get in. And then when you once you're in, is how talented you are and how much do you want to make it. Because people get a little complacent when they start, and normally they start and they stay in the same level because they get complacent because now they made it, right? And that's fine, that's okay. But that's not really what kind of like makes you kind of like go up the ranks and actually get a better pay and better status and all that stuff. Normally just like always trying to improve. That's basically what you actually have to continuously try to do. So if you look at it that way, then yeah, it pays super well, pays great. And I think as the industry expands and stuff, then yeah, it's good money in animation. Impact frames, welcome. I want to ask, for starting game animators, for animators getting started, which engine would you recommend to learn? Unity or Unreal or another? What stuff would you say an entry level gameplay animator needs to have on his showreel? Yeah. So I recommend Unreal. And the reason why is because it's much more animator friendly. Unity requires quite a lot of coding, so it's not so visual from my experience, right? And but I've worked a little bit with Unity like way back, so things might be different now. But Unreal for sure is like super animator friendly, and not only that, because it's the game that has been around for longest and the one that actually is the friendliest and has the most developers, then you get much more information. So anything that you want to learn in Unreal, you can Google it, you can YouTube it, and then you'll find it. So that's why Unreal is so good, because you can basically create a game by yourself just with YouTube tutorials in Unreal, and you don't even have to pay any money because the engine is free. So as long as you're willing to put in the work and do the animations, yeah, you're good to go with Unreal. Super easy. Aaron, good question. Do you think it's usual that animators want to transition to directors? No, it's actually not usual whatsoever. I actually think that, like, I didn't even want to actually transition to a director, in all honesty. I just stumbled upon it in terms of like, I realized that after many, many years of working in animation, um, when I first started, I wanted to just be an animator through and through, nothing else. That's exactly what I wanted for ever and ever. And as I actually got into the industry and found out, oh, there's mid-level animators, and there's like senior animators, and there's lead animators, I thought, okay, I'm going to be senior at most, but I don't want to be a lead. I really don't want to like lead people and stuff. That's a bit too much kerfuffle. Plus, when I actually, the two companies that I first started, both leads told me like, don't be a lead because you don't really animate. You just manage people. And I'm like, I need to animate. So I don't want to be a lead. I just want to be a senior. So many years have passed after that. And I actually started seeing the benefit of helping others while I actually was gathering experience. And, there was nothing better than actually kind of teaching someone that was upcoming about a feature they didn't know before, or an animation style, or how they could see things in a different way, and then see them change and then like level up. Um, and I got kind of really not hooked, but like satisfied with myself to actually be helping others. And I realized that that was actually like much more satisfying than just creating an amazing animation, even though that's what I thought it was actually all about. So it was only when I started seeing other people, like me helping other people, and them leveling up, that's when I started realizing maybe this is what a lead does, right? Like helping other people to kind of like do a better job. And that's when I started kind of like going, maybe a lead might be a good thing, because then I can do that all the time and help out people. So yeah, when I did a lead position on and off in different jobs, and in some of them was generally just work, just a management thing, which was not good. But in most of them, it's generally kind of uplifting animators, making them see things that they couldn't see before, and just drive the project through in the best way possible. So be that person that goes like, this is not good enough. We need to be here, and right now we're here. But if we actually kind of unite and like gather as a team, we can do it. We can actually get to here together, and then we'll go off and do it, right? So that's basically how I got to be a lead. And then the director thing, it was basically like after being a lead for quite a while, um, you kind of just you start to understand games in a much broader way, right? You no longer understand just animation, you understand design, you understand how things connect in general. You understand what comes before and after, cutscenes, all that stuff. So because you see the things broader, all of a sudden you kind of think, wait, if I was doing this as a lead, maybe doing this as a director is going to affect things even more, and I'll be able to have like a more of a saying, right? Not only that, you can help out more people and get the project to be better overall. So that's basically how the director came about position. So it's not because I wanted to be a director when I first started. It just came to be as I grew up as a person, as an animator. That's basically it. Impact Frames, thanks for your videos. Discover your channel recently. Most welcome. I hope you enjoyed them. Pawn card trick. Um, Thank you. I saw your YouTube channel. I want to get critiques from you. Yeah, for sure. No problem. Just like either comment on the videos, or you can join the workshop. I don't know if you guys know about my workshop, but I do an animation workshop for quite a few months now. And I have students sporadically come in, and then I normally take them through their shots, their animation shots, and basically make them better. So all the things that I've been saying here about like leveling up and trying to actually make animators seeing things that they couldn't see before, and like kind of make the most out of animation and have fun doing it. All of those things are the things that I do with my animation students in the animation workshops. Yeah, chromosome. Thanks for all the help. I can see you answering a lot of questions and you answering right. Awesome. Aaron asks, do you think the industry will transition from Maya to Blender? I don't know about that. It's a good question. So Blender is making huge strides as of late. Their animation advancements are incredible, especially like the grease pencil. That stuff looks amazing. I haven't really had a chance to try it, but it looks really, really cool. Now, I don't know if the industry will transition, and if they do, it's going to take many, many years. So, for example, many years ago, pretty much all games were made with 3D Max. You guys probably don't know this, but 3D Max used to be the standard for making games. And then Maya came along. Maya used to be used only for features mainly. And then the animation industry started seeing the potential of using Maya for games, mainly because it allows animators to express themselves better. The graph editor is so much better, all that good stuff. So it took a good, I don't know, 10, 15 years until the transition started happening, and it's now full. Like I think pretty much every studio uses either Maya or Motion Builder. So I think if that happens and Blender is adopted by the industry, it's going to take a good 10, 15 years, if not more. I don't know any studio that is using Blender right now in production. It's either Maya or Motion Builder. So let's see. Will be a welcome change. Like the more, the better, right? Ruth, studying design, film, animation, interactive right now. Cool. Most best of luck on your studies. Chromosome. Cool question. Do you have any experience with crunch as an animator? How do you handle crunch as a lead and director? So, I have a lot of experience with crunch, more than I would like, but not as of late. So, funny story. When I first started, I started in a company that is now defunct, but the company that I worked on had incredibly short dev cycles. So each game they would have to release about they would have about 8 months to kind of like make the game from beginning to end and then publish. 8 months is incredibly short, given the fact that games like God of War takes 5 years to make. So 8 months puts in perspective how short the dev cycles were. So because of that, the crunch was incredibly punishing, and we had to crunch for months and months and months and months on end. They were not very caring for us either. So people didn't felt the best in that company. I certainly didn't feel great in that company. And I stayed there for about 2 years. And that was the worst that I had to actually endure, because you had to start at around 8 o'clock in the morning and then finish at around 10 p.m. Every day for like 6 months straight. That was really tough. And I'm happy the industry has changed, because that was like 13 years ago or something. I'm happy the industry has changed now to the point that crunch is basically seen as incredibly negative, and pretty much every company out there, if it hasn't eradicated crunch, is on the way to eradicate crunch. So that's really positive. Now, having said that, a lot of companies still believe in crunch, still believe that whenever you develop a game for 2, 3 years, 5 years, that last year, for the last few months, normally is like given that you actually have to crunch. I think I don't necessarily agree with that. To me, I think it's to do with project managing. Like if you manage a project well, normally you don't have to crunch. But if you do join the industry, the games industry, don't go in with the thought that I'm never going to crunch, or if I crunch, I'm not going to like it, because it's a reality of the industry as of now. So it's as long as it's not a long period of time, as long as like 2 weeks, a month, 2 months, like max, ultra max, you should not have to crunch. You should be able to actually at least have the choice to not crunch, because the companies that I worked on, they were the best. They always give you the chance. They always were nice enough to be like, please, if you guys can, it would be awesome if you guys could actually kind of do a little bit of an extra effort to finish the game, because this feature, that feature is not really finished quite yet. So if you guys could, it'd be awesome if you could stay. That is a much better statement, because people normally, if you actually want to stay, if you invested, if you like really believe in what you're doing, you normally stay to finish the job. That is a much better statement than to say everyone needs to stay no matter what, regardless, until 10 p.m. every day until we tell you that the job is done. That is really bad, because no one wants to actually kind of do a job that you're forced to do. So yeah, the industry is kind of shifting really fast towards the fact that they have to understand that not everyone has the same conditions. People have families and all that stuff. And I think I have on crunch for like maybe, I don't know, 6 7 years now that I haven't really had to crunch per se. So yeah, it's been good. It's been really good. I can definitely feel the difference. I'm happier, and I don't have to actually feel like I'm exhausted. And this is the reason why I can do these videos, right? Because I have free time and I can do things. Yeah, Aaron, the grease pencil in Blender is pretty epic. Jacob asks, what do you think about motion capture replacing keyframe animators? So yeah, this is something that I've been hearing since I started in the industry. Motion capture one day is going to replace hand key animators. I really don't believe that. I've been in the industry for like 13. I don't know how long it's been. 13, 14. I don't know how long it's been. And I don't think that will ever happen. And the reason why is because motion capture serves a purpose. So you have performance actors that actually jump on a suit, or you yourself sometimes in some studios jump on a suit, and then you do some motions, and then you actually kind of put it in game. Now, for example, when I worked in Darth Maul, like putting Darth Maul in game is completely different than actually seeing the actor in the movies doing it differently, because you have to hit certain speeds. You have to do things in a certain speed that is like ultra human. No human can do it, and that's the problem, right? Because even if a mocap actor does the performance perfectly and on time and with speed and an animator will always have to actually come in and actually tweak those animations to fit the game metrics, right? Because maybe you have to run a bit faster, maybe you have to jump a little higher, maybe you have to do a triple flip instead of like a double flip or quadruple flip. So an animator always has to come in and do the job that actually requires the mocap to actually be extended a bit more. And there's also something to be said about like the creativity of it all, right? Mocap, as epic as it is not really creative. What you see is what you get, right? If the actor does this, you get exactly that, and you don't get any more or any less. You just get that. So having an animator there to actually be like, actually, this motion is probably best if we hand keyed it, because it's so crazy that if I actually hand key it, I'll get much more bang for the buck. It's more appealing. I get better curves. Da 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 da. So having that nice balance between mocap and hand key is really nice, and creativity cannot be replaced. So no matter what we do, I think these are all tools that will help us all as animators to actually put as much animation as possible. But it's the same thing as when 3D came along. I don't know if you guys remember, but when Pixar came along and then 2D was around, everyone thought this is going to kill 2D because it's impossible, because this is crazy. It didn't really. 2D just lingered there because it was no longer like the new thing in the block. 3D was the new thing on the block. But now when you look at Klaus, right, the Netflix has done, it looks fresh, looks amazing. It's 2D. The story is there, the performance is there, and once again, it's just another medium, right? So I think this is just tools that pop up that actually make the job easier. You can express yourself in different ways. They serve certain purposes for certain things, but the more tools you have, the better it is. So I don't think one thing replaces the other. I think they just complement each other, if that makes sense. Jake Horner says, will learning Blender skills carry over to learning Maya, or would I get employed based on my Blender work? Does my software of choice a big factor to the employing company? Yeah, well, yeah, this is something that comes up as well a lot. So yes and no. No, like if you actually know Maya and you're applying for a studio that actually works with Maya, it helps that you don't have to learn Maya. That the only things they have to learn is the engine side of things, how to implement the animations, and how to go about your business to animation overall. Having said that, let's say you actually work in Blender and you have a kick-ass showreel that shows a lot of skills. I'm pretty sure, well, at least that's how I feel. Any recruiter out there, any job, any company will actually hire you for your skills, because Maya is a piece of software, Unreal is a piece of software, Blender is a piece of software. What I'm trying to say with this is that they all can be learned. What can't be learned and is native to you and is like a piece of you is talent, right? Like your eye for animation, how you actually express yourself, how creative you are when you actually kind of animate. And those things cannot be taught. Those things come with you, and they are specific to you, and they are individual. So having those things in the studio is much more useful than actually saying that this guy knows Maya, so therefore let's hire him. That's not normally how it works. Whenever I look at showreels, I look at talent. So if this person is talented enough, or like kind of like does something that is specific to what the game that we're doing, then we'll hire that person because this person is so good. And like the Maya question, like normally doesn't come along really. It's just like it's more about the animation skills than the software that the person used to actually create the showreel. So Iñaki asks about my logo. So I'm only going to answer this one because I've been wanting to talk about it. So it doesn't really come from anything. So the logo here, it's just basically an N, and I actually kind of worked on the design like years ago because I thought it was like the coolest thing, and I never thought I was going to use it for YouTube or for like logos in YouTube. I think at that point in time, I thought I'm going to make a wallet and I'm going to put this logo on it because I thought it was so cool. But then it became a thing, and I've been using it all the time from the very beginning of the channel. So I hope you guys like it. I don't know if it's like one of those things that people can identify with the channel, but I hope so. I hope so. Ruth, what is the main motivator for you in all of this, that even when it's hard or takes a toll, you remind yourself of why you're doing it? What are the greatest rewards for you, I guess? Cool question, Ruth. Um, so the main motivator for all of this used to be my background. It used to be, you guys probably seen the videos about like the Black Lives Matter and the struggle with racism and like my background a little bit. So I talked a lot about it a little bit only, but I kind of grew up with like people telling me like, "Oh, poor guy, he has suffered so much" and all that stuff, and that used to fucking like infuriate me. The fact that people were looking down on me and like kind of like saying "poor guy." So for many years, it was always about like, I'm going to prove you wrong, and I'm going to prove that I can make something of myself, even though I had a shit background. That was basically my thing. But then I had my daughter, and after that nothing else matters. Nothing else mattered except for her. Um, and I started finding motivation in like seeing her grow, and like thinking about ways that I can actually make her proud, and sorry that this is becoming a little bit like, but yeah, but that's basically it. Like really, like I hope, for example, like the thing that is always in the back of my mind while I create these videos is that I hope that whenever she becomes a 20-year-old, that she can actually look at these videos, and if she decides that she wants to be an animator, she can look at my videos and be like, look, this is some information there for you, and I hope it helps, and if you have any questions, come to me and we can talk about it. So that's one of the motivators that kind of gets me going, especially true at work, like outside of YouTube. Um, there's some hard days, obviously. Sometimes you have to deal with difficult people. Sometimes you have a bad day because things don't go your way. It really sets like a nice way of thinking, to think that you always have something to look forward to at the end of the day, that actually kind of like keeps you going. And it doesn't necessarily need to be a daughter or a son. It can be anything, your boyfriend, an auntie, your father, your mother. But like definitely having something that detaches your mind from work will help you in a big way, because what happens is that animation is such a cerebral thing. Like you have to stay in your mind all the time. You have to think about every single keyframe, how to actually do performance, how to actually get the most out of the character. Is this good enough? Sometimes you get animation blind, so you don't even know if it's good enough anymore because you've been looking at it for weeks on end. And if it's not good and you spend weeks and weeks and weeks working on it, I think it's normal for anyone to be disappointed, for anyone to feel like shit. So having things or people that support you around you, that keep you going, that stuff is like, yeah, it's super valuable. It's the most valuable thing. So let me see what else. So how can animation? That's a cool question. How can animation help someone who isn't going to be a professional animator? So yes, animation can help you as well, even if you don't want to be a professional animator. Yeah, that is true. So animation to me, like outside of thinking about work, what animation has shown me is like some of the things that it has shown me is like resilience is definitely one of them. Because if you really truly think about animation, and it happens every time I show animation to anyone that hasn't seen 3D animation before, like the thought of actually sitting in front of a computer and having to kind of like drag every single controller of the hand and the finger and the other joint and the other joint and posing the hand and doing that for hours and hours and hours on end, days and days, and then having a final result, it's insane, right? I mean, you have to be so patient to sit there and just like really kind of labor through everything in order to get just a pose. And then you have to have many poses in order to have an animation. So like it's really insane to actually kind of think when you really think about it. So the fact that you are even considering, like the fact that you think about doing animation, the fact that you perhaps have done animation, already taught you a lot about patience, most likely. And also if you do make it as an animator, then like consistency and actually kind of making it through are incredible life lessons that you can have. So I normally say I haven't gone to the military, but I've gone through animation, and animation is like equally as tough in order for you to actually be resilient and be like sure of yourself. And even on tough times, when people say that you're not good enough and they reject your show reels and they tell you like you're not really worth it and we don't want you here and stuff, even through all of that, if you can power through all of that and still see the other end and still make it, or even if you don't make it as an animator, you make it as something else, it means that you've been through the motions, and it makes you a strong person emotionally, I think. At least it has happened to me. So I think that's some of the stuff that you can get from animation, even if you don't become an animator. And I hope that answers your question. Let me know. Cool. So this Aditya. Let me know if if I'm saying your name right. I've lost my interest in my character animation. What should I do to motivate myself to practice animation? So this is yet another one that comes up in the comments on YouTube quite a bit. So like in all honesty, the shortest answer is that there is nothing I can do for you to help you, motivate you, or it needs to be you doing it. And as I'm saying this, you probably know this, so it's nice. But the problem is that I feel, right, I've worked with several animators before that they ask for help, but they're not willing to help themselves. So I think that's definitely the first step. So normally what I say is like, you have to help me help you, right? So if you can actually kind of power through yourself, get into that hump, because animation is incredibly difficult, right? When you think you actually see the mountain, you're just seeing a little bit of the bottom of the mountain. That's how animation is consistently. To this day, animation is like that to me. If you can power through it, if you can actually realize how much of a big ask animation is, if you can power through and if you can help yourself and you have the determination to actually make it through, I guarantee you that something will come out of the other end. Persistence and working hard and constantly trying to achieve something better and being true to yourself, I think is the things that you can actually, the biggest things that you can have as an animator. Especially if someone tells you your work is really bad or you have to work really hard on it. Those kind of things are, as long as they're coming from an honest place, they mean a lot, because it means that it gives you like a reality check. Nothing worse than actually trying to be an animator, being surrounded by friends and family, and they all say, so nice, so cool. I mean, you've done all that work and now you have a pose. So cool. You've done really, really well. Being in the state of mind, you'll never get achieve anything because you feel like happy by having just the one pose instead of having the whole animation. So yeah, being truthful, show it to other people, make sure that you constantly kind of show other people, surround yourself with other animators as well, because we all been through it. So show your showreel to other animators, and they will actually tell you honestly how good or how bad it is, and they will also tell you continue to actually kind of persevere and work hard, because you're going to get there. This rhetoric about like you're going to get there, just be strong and all that stuff, pretty much every single animator that I know talks this way, because we all know how hard it is, and it's so hard. So keep strong, man, keep strong. I'm pretty sure one day you're going to get there. So yeah, continue practicing, read books, get your mind off it from time to time, come back to it, and surround yourself by people that actually are like you and want to actually be animators as well, because then you'll just feed off each other's energy and it's going to be nice. Mark asks, are stylized and cartoon animations techniques used in games at all? Yes, a lot. Have you ever played Cuphead? Cuphead, damn, so cool. 1930s based kind of like game, like a game based on 1930s animations. So what is the style called? Rubber bending? I forgot the name of the style, but there was a style, very peculiar style in 1930s that game is based off, and it was all drawn by hand, and the game is epic. So that's one. But when it comes to 3D games, yes, there's lots of examples out there that actually have pushed animations, hand keyed animations that look really cool. One of the latest ones I've seen is One Piece, the game. If you haven't seen it, look it up. The character looks really cool. The animations are really well done, and the animation is quite pushed, especially on the melee attacks and stuff. Thanks, Mark. I like that you like the logo. Ramza, do your does your studio still hire even in this pandemic? Yes, we do. So we still definitely hiring in this pandemic. Yeah, I think like any other good company out there, you have to adapt to the times. So yeah, we are actively hiring for gameplay. My team hiring. So if you guys are interested, head over to Build a Rocket Boy /jobs, and if you have your showreel ready, I'd love to see it. Apply. Let me see. Iñaki. Yes. So the hat, you can actually get the hat from the website. Exactly this hat. I made it. I put a shop up only to actually make my life easier. So I can actually go in and order the hats in case I just lose it or something happens to it. But you guys can also get it if you're interested. It has like this Newman, no, wait, this Newman thing on the side. I was actually thinking about like the idea of having this Newman thing to actually say the person's name, the person that orders it. So to be like whoever orders it to actually be there and stuff. I haven't found a place that actually does that, but one day I'll do. Jacob asks, does an animation, a university degree help you to get a job in animation? Very controversial question. So I went to university. Let me just drink a little bit of tea because I've been talking a lot. So I went to university and I did a course called in West London. I did a course called Animation Specialist. And in all honesty, there was nothing specialist about that course in animation. What we learned was really Maya, how to actually work in Maya. We learned how to rig characters. We learned how to animate, but just very, very basics, like how to set a key and stuff like that. So, excuse me. So I didn't really learn a lot about animation in university. Thankfully, Jason Ryan, at that point, he was not doing the iAnimate just yet. Jason Ryan was actually kind enough that I hit him up, and he became my mentor for what's nearly 2 years after that. And I think he actually heard my plan for help because he was basically there for me to actually kind of give me feedback on my shots, shot by shot and stuff, and how I could actually be better and how to animate really from the very basics all the way up. So I learned animation that way. I have a degree in animation. So far, I haven't been in any company that has asked me for my degree, to see my degree when I get through the door. So that's why it's controversial, because some companies do ask you if you have a degree. Having a degree is good, but it's good in a way of like, it shows commitment. That's what it does. So it shows that you have committed to something for 3 years or 5 years, depending, and you made it, right? You actually made it and you studied and you actually kind of applied yourself for 3 years and you kind of like got your degree at the end. So that's basically what companies see, at least what I see when I see degrees in animation. It shows that you actually have been committed to something for a long period of time, because commitment is a problem in the industry sometimes, because people have a tendency, especially nowadays, right? Things move so quickly that if you actually go into animation for games, especially, and games take 5 years, after 2 years, you're excited in the beginning and stuff. And then after 2 years, all of a sudden it's like, oh, I've seen this. How many times can I actually put in animations in game and all that stuff? It feels like it takes a long time. So people don't have patience for that. And you definitely need to have patience to work in games. Thanks, Aaron. I love the graphic design of the channel. Thank you. I'm trying my best. Yeah, so Chromosome mentions Overwatch as a 2D smearing technique. Yes, exactly. So Overwatch is a good example to actually kind of talk about pushed animation, hand key animation, and all that stuff. So they did an amazing job as well. Matthew asks if I animate with a mouse or tablet. So I animate with a mouse, but you're right. A lot of animators use tablets, and you can use either really. Tablets give you more of a feel that you're actually grabbing. It's weird. I don't know exactly why, but tablets give you more of a feel that you're actually grabbing the controller properly, like with your own hand. Especially if you do it on like a Cintiq, it feels like you really like manipulating the character in 3D. Feels amazing. I tried really hard to actually get used to animating on the tablet, but I never really got used to it. And I normally don't get any pains on my wrists, carpal tunnel, or anything animating with the mouse. So mouse it is for me. I like it. I use like a really like I try to actually get a good mouse at least. I use like a what's it called, a Death Adder razor. This guy. And I've been using. I have two of these because when I was in the office, when I was working in the office, I had one in the office and one at home. Get a good mouse if you animate with a mouse. Get a good keyboard as well. Essential. I highly recommend the gaming keyboards and gaming mice. They actually do the best gaming mice and the best keyboards. Really, really good stuff. And keep it simple. It's nice. Rohit, welcome. Hey. Mark asks if the animation patience helps when you become a father. I think it's more the other way around. Becoming a father helps with you having even more patience for animation. That's basically how he actually works out. Let me see what else. What else? What do you think about the 2D shorts of Star Wars Galaxy of Adventures? They're great. They're really cool. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, they're spectacular. It's really well made. Really well made. So Ruth, um, you haven't. Okay, so you never made an animation, I'm guessing. But the way he feels like magic. That's what he feels like the first time that I actually saw the animations coming to life. Yeah, like first and foremost, like I actually saw rigging and skinning in Maya when I was at uni, and to me that was magic. The fact because I couldn't really understand a character that was like this and had like bones supposedly that looked like nothing like bones, and it had skinning. And like, how can like the bones drive the skin of the character? Weird. And how can I actually animate that and see it moving in 3D? It's like it didn't really fit my head until my teacher said, "You do this, you do this, you do this, and then you press play," and the character was like moving and stuff. It was like the most simplest animation, and for me, it was like, "Wow, I want to do that forever." Because before that, I wanted to be an illustrator, right? So I only saw like 3D animation and the potential of me doing animation or trying animation was when I got into uni. Obviously, I saw Toy Story and I fell in love and stuff, but like actually using animation or doing animation, it was only in university. So when I saw that, I was like, let me do it. I want to do it now. So after that, yeah, I was like trying to actually animate everything. Vanilla says animation is the best superpower. Indeed. I think so too. Yeah, so chromosome actually is answering a question here. I don't think you need to have skill in the thing you animate, but at least acting and filming yourself as much as possible. This is training your eye and your brain to feel the motion. Yes, but there is something else that you have to do to actually be able to animate. So this is correct. There's plenty of animators that actually just like, as long as you film yourself and stuff, you feel good. You look good. You think this is a good performance by myself or by my mate or whatever. Therefore, the animation is going to end up being really, really good. But transferring that information to Maya or to whatever software you use is not as easy as it seems. A lot of animators make the mistake of actually quickly putting poses they think are like the golden poses, and they actually miss a lot of information, a lot of nuance that is there. Also, the role of the animator is not to copy one to one, So, for example, for those that don't know, Snow White, for example, that was actually like all like copied frame by frame of the lady. Most stuff was like copied frame by frame, and that's not what you actually want to achieve in animation. What you want to achieve in animation is like you do the motion, the emotion looks really good, it's a good acting, it's a good performance, and then you plus it, you actually kind of add more to the information that you have there in order to actually make it better. So your job as an animator is not to copy the information or to just like go in and be like, this is a good actor, I'm going to do what he did. Is mostly like get the essence of whatever you see. So Tom Hanks in Woody, right? It's not exactly one to one. Like you don't see Tom Hanks in Woody because they actually kind of added the nuances of Tom Hanks, but they just like captured the essence of Tom Hanks. But then they actually kind of plussed it, right? So Woody is much more entertaining than Tom Hanks is in any of his movies. So that's the role of an animator. So you have to constantly think about that, and it's something that you actually have to fight with, especially in the beginning of your career, because it's much easier to copy things, especially when you nail it. When you start nailing exactly the poses that you need to copy in order to get exactly the same motion, it's so easy to fall into the trap of like, I do these steps every single time like a machine, and then I get the animation. That is easy for you to just do that and then forget about capturing the essence, putting the personality into it, plussing it, pushing the animation, pushing the arcs, pushing the posing. All of that stuff is all part of the process of animation. So I have now more than 40 episodes. That's true. In the tips and tricks, yeah. Which is the episode you enjoy making the most, and what is your favorite part of your YouTube journey? Ha, cool question, Iñaki. So yeah, I don't know which one is my favorite. It's a funny thing because the one that is most popular, it's the one about like the life of an animator, or what is it like to be an animator. I never thought that was going to be like a popular video. And you know what's funny as well is that when you make these videos, the ones that are more edgy, the ones that actually make you think, man, I hope they like this. I think they're not going to like it because I'm actually talking too much, especially on that one. That was the first video that I made that was not specific for about animation, the practicality of animation, going to Maya and putting the curves and stuff. So it was not about that. It was about the life of an animator and what do you do and the good and the bad. And a lot of it was not positive, was negative. It was about talking about not being seen as an animator, and make like no one really knows who animates this, so people just see the movie but no one knows about the animators behind it, all that stuff, which is kind of depressing. And I fully thought that video is going to get downvoted because people were coming here to actually get tips and tricks about Maya or animation in general, but ended up being the one that people seem to like the most and the most popular. And the journey that I got so far in YouTube, which hasn't been very long so far, it got me thinking that when you think that you got into a comfort zone, is normally when you need to come out of it and try something different, try something that people haven't seen before, or perhaps people like it may be uncomfortable. The most recent one has been like the one about racism. So yeah, I think maybe that's my favorite one, mainly because like I was like really really scared. Scared is not the right way, but anxious to actually put it out there. I just pressed published and I left, and I think I didn't look at the video for like 2 days because I was like, this is going to be horrible. So it was a nice surprise to come back to it and be like, yeah, people like this, this is cool. um, yeah, so I'm really enjoying it. Like the journey of YouTube so far has been incredible. I haven't been here for very long. Having a YouTube channel was not really the goal. Like I wanted to help out people, and I wanted to be a professor, an animation professor. Not only because it sounds cool when you're a professor, right? But also because I want to help out students. And for some reason, I thought myself like being in university, seeing students face to face, and be like, you need to do more of this, less of that. That was what I wanted to do. But because of all the moving around as an animator, and because I feel like I want to be a professor maybe later on in life, but not just quite yet, I thought maybe doing these YouTube videos might be good enough to kind of reach a bigger audience, but I never thought I was going to have like many people looking at the videos. I thought it was going to be like just a few people, a few videos, but I thought I'm going to do it for myself. I'm going to do it maybe for Jasmine when she grows up, and then that's it. This needs to satisfy me and no one else. That. So when I started seeing people actually kind of liking the videos and liking the content and asking questions and being like more of this, less of that, whatever, it's really satisfying. It's amazing. It's really cool. Especially like people like Iñaki and Aaron. You guys are always commenting on the videos, so thank you very much. So yeah, like I genuinely try to reply to all comments because I know that like there's people out there that are struggling every day, right? Animation ain't easy. This is going to be a theme, as I mentioned here quite a few times, but animation is not easy, and it's really lonely as well because it's just you and the computer for hours and hours and days on end. So when people comment about this is tough, or I lost my, like someone said before, I lost my passion for animation, I take that stuff seriously because I've been there. There was been points that I thought I'm never going to be an animator. I better just give up because this is never going to work out. So yeah, I feel your pain, and for all people that out there that want to be an animator, the least I can do is just like share a little bit of my experience with them. So hopefully you'll inspire them, or I'll give them answers so they can just continue going forward. You know. Aaron, I haven't finished the illusion of life yet. Yeah, yeah, I understand that. It took me many years. Ruth, can animators work remotely on a long-term project? Yes. Now, before the pandemic, not so much, but now, yes, you can. I think. At least I'm seeing a lot of job openings out there that mention specifically like this job is for long-term, like remote work and stuff. I think the benefit of this pandemic has been that it has shown pretty much every single industry out there that people can work remotely and they can be productive and they can be happier because they are with their families or whatever. Sometimes not, obviously, but it can be sometimes happier to actually more fulfilling to work this way. So I think after this pandemic goes away, which I hope is very going to be soon, I think the industry is going to change in a big way, and I think a lot of opportunities of remote work are going to open up, which is going to be great for everyone around the world that wants to be an animator. Vanilla. So yeah, we're accepting applications, and how does that work overseas? So this goes for any studio, not just Build a Rocket Boy. But what I say every time is like, it works the same way. Like when I say about the fact that the only thing that matters is your talent, I really mean it. Like for people like myself that are as a director or someone as a lead or whatever, and we are hiring all the time, nothing gets you more excited than to see a really cool show reel from a really talented animator, especially if they actually are from outside of Europe and outside of America. Because I know that it's much tougher to go get into Europe or into America, but like is the quality of the show reel and the skills of the animator that actually gets it excited. If you send in a show reel that is badass, that has so much talent, that has so much skill, no matter where you are, people will come and get you. It really doesn't matter. People will come and actually they'll do the visa, they'll do the process. It might take you a while, might take 6 months, a year. They will wait for your skill because it's so awesome. So this is basically true for any studio that I've been. So it really doesn't matter as long as you have a kick-ass show reel, as long as you showcase your skills, as long as you showcase that you actually kind of are really good at what you do. Yeah. Purple Haze, how's it going? I think it's the first question. Welcome. Should a gameplay animator know about Unreal as much as they know about how to animate in Maya? Not necessarily. It helps if you do, though. If you have like 50-50 on both, it would help, but you are hired for your skills in Maya. So knowing Maya and being a good animator is definitely the first thing that you need to have. So focus on being a kick-ass animator first, because that is the most important thing. Now, if you definitely know that you want to be a gameplay animator, then for sure, showcase those animation skills in a way that showcases your gameplay animation skills as well. Showcases your animation, your gameplay skills as well. So no, like even if you do in Maya without having Unreal, break your animations into little bits. Make sure you have a character idling for a little bit, then punching a little bit, going back to idle, running, sprinting, turning. You will show recruiters like myself that you're actually thinking about animation in a gameplay scenario instead of thinking about it in a film scenario. And that's good because it kind of showcases that you're thinking about animation, you're thinking about animation systems, which is something that is very important for us. If you don't do that, then it means that we have to teach you that. And that's easy to teach. Well, it's not easy. It's actually quite complex to teach, but it's something that can be taught as long as you have the animation skills that we need. But that's just a bonus thing that you need to have. The industry is changing quite quickly. I think in about 5 to 10 years from now, most likely anyone that applies for a gameplay animator will have to have those analytical, like game systems kind of mind in their showreel. But as of now, you can apply with a kick-ass showreel, even if it's like creatures and like characters and people running or whatever it is. As long as you showcase talent, good to go. Yeah, chromosome is like killing it. Um, thanks for answering the questions. So William Clark says, I really like modeling, rigging, and animating robots in machines. Is that a market for that in the games industry? Well, yes. I think. Well, if you like to do the three of them equally as much, then you are a generalist. And if you are a generalist, most likely your best bet is to actually apply for a smaller studio, like an indie studio, that actually are looking for people that can do a bit of everything. Now, when it comes to animating robots and machines, yes, there's games out there like Horizon that actually have robots and machines. But on a studio like that big, like Guerrilla Games, they will want one of your skills, not the three of them together. They will want you animating robots only, or they will want you for the modeling skills or for the rigging skills, not for the three of them at the same time. So I hope that answers your question. When people say if there's a place or a thing or like something in the market that I can do that fits my skills, it's difficult to answer that because there is various jobs out there that are very specific that only one person in the whole world can do it, and then there's jobs out there that everyone can do, right? So if you search hard enough, you'll find somewhere somehow that there is a place for you. So that's why I like, yeah, it's difficult to say for sure. But it sounds by the three things that you mentioned right there, it sounds like you're more of a generalist. And if so, that's cool. You just have to find a place that actually kind of takes all your skills, normally smaller places. Andrew Tan asks, how is it like living in Edinburgh? It's amazing. It's really cool. So we live in Stockholm. So Stockholm, like great city, really cool city to live in. So the problem with Stockholm that we found after a while is that it gets dark for a very long time, and it gets really cold as well. So after 3 years of being there, we're like, man, this is like, maybe is this too much? And because I got the opportunity of the job here, we know that Edinburgh was obviously still dark in the winter, but not as much, and definitely not as cold. But we didn't actually expect is that people here are incredibly friendly, like genuinely friendly, like going down the street, like walking, like smiling in the face, like going saying hello, friendly, like that kind of friendly, like super friendly. So we are over the moon to be here. Like we've been here for only like a few months, and we already made friends. Jasmine had a birthday the other day, and they came over, and she was playing already with little friends, and it's really cool. It's really cool. We feel at home here, even though we haven't been here for a long time. So Edinburgh is great. It's not too big. It's not too small. People are incredibly friendly. You can walk everywhere. It's very safe. So it feels good. Feels great. We're loving it. Chromosome. I'm considering doing YouTube as well, but I don't have. Feel like I don't have enough brain power after 8 hours of work. Yes. So I felt the same way in the beginning. So the best thing, the best advice that I can give you is that anything that you do for at least 3 months to 6 months becomes a habit. I talk about that in one of my videos. And in the beginning, it was incredibly difficult to do the two things at the same time, work full time and then do YouTube as well. This is why I only publish one video a week. That's about to change soon, by the way. But after I actually kind of was constantly doing it for about 3 months to 6 months, it became a habit. And when I stopped doing it, it became weird when I was not doing it. So those 8 hours that you have, at least I felt, of work that you feel shattered and you cannot do anything else, is genuinely, to me at least, it's genuinely a mind game. Like just now doing this right now here is it's going to be nearly 11. Obviously, I'd much rather be like in my mind. I would actually rather be like in Netflix, watching Netflix, chilling on the sofa, relaxing. But I wouldn't feel as fulfilled as I feel right now, talking with you guys right here. So that feeling of fulfillment, that feeling that I'm actually achieving something, that I'm slowly like getting somewhere, is the stuff that kind of drives me forward. So hopefully, if you get started, you'll find the same thing. Jake Horner asks if I actually tried modeling and sculpting characters in the beginning. Nope, I've been focusing on animation from the very beginning. So much so that I actually used to illustrate before, and I stopped illustrating completely because I thought unless I actually can animate as good as I can illustrate, I'm just going to like stop illustrating. So it was a bit of a problem, and I kind of wish I didn't because I haven't done it for many years, and I kind of lost it a little bit. But illustration definitely helps animation. It's something that people say all the time, and they're completely right. It helps your animation eye a lot. Iñaki asks, how long did it took you to learn how to use Maya and its plugins? Many years, many years. Yeah, like Maya. Yeah, Maya is one of those things. It's a beast of a software. You can do so many things, right? I mean, you can use it for modeling only if you want. You can use it for like rendering only if you want. Physics. There's so many things you can do within one package. So yeah, it took me, I don't know, in order to be, I'm still learning it really. I think I cannot say I've learned it all because it's impossible. I think like the plugins like A Tools or no, Animbot, I should say, no, from Alan Camillo helps so much. Like I feel jealous of all animators that start right now with those tools because I wish I had them way back in the day because it's like a tool belt. You have one plugin and you have pretty much everything. Way back in the day, I had to actually use about 20 different plugins just to get half as many things as you have in Animbots right now. So yeah, had like definitely a thumbs up for Alan Camillo for putting all the work because he's doing a great job. What else? Mo, do you recommend any videos or books to become a better animator? Yes, I recommend books. I have a video on 5 top books for animators, I think. Look it up. It's very useful, very useful. There's definitely books that you can read. I suggest you start with the books before you go into videos or even Animation Mentor or any other school. because I genuinely believe that you need to learn your history before you can go forward. Because the more you learn about history and past mistakes that people have made, the more you can avoid in the future. I find that a lot of animators nowadays, they just focus too much into the future, as in like what's now, Animation Mentor, Animate, anything like that. And then rely on people like myself in order to tell them how do I do things. But the stuff that we're saying, even in Animation Mentor, even like in my videos, is stuff that we've learned from before. So if you actually read books, if you actually kind of hit the books and start highlighting things and stuff, you'll start actually kind of turning the gears in your head. So when you're ready to actually kind of start learning animation from people like myself or schools in Animation Mentor or university, when they tell you something about the spacing is wrong or like you need to work on your arcs, all of that will just click in a huge way in your head and you'll save time. So it feels like it takes a long time to read the books and all that stuff, but it's actually a massive shortcut. I tell everyone that going back and reading the books that the Nine Old Men have made and the tips they've made and all that stuff is shortcuts to the future of your animation. And you can get there so much faster by, instead of ignoring it, reading it. So yeah, that's me on books. Do you know about the course or animators that have done it? So Mark asks about, yeah, switching for the game animation in Animate. So I know a couple of animators that do it. I have a friend, Warren Jeff. He actually, I think he's Animate, maybe he's Animation Mentor. He actually teaches the game play section. I don't know exactly which course it is, but he actually is there teaching gameplay. And yeah, they have really good teachers and people that are like super legit at teaching it. So if you're actually thinking about doing it, then do it because it's actually really, they're really good. So yeah, go ahead. They'll be able to actually teach you a lot of things and teach you how to actually think systematically, right? Think about games and how you should be breaking your animations and stuff. So yeah, go ahead. And if you have any questions, let me know. Rohit, yeah, apply, man. So life in Sweden, how was it? It was really good. No, it did not require to actually learn the new language. It was actually super smooth. All Swedes, pretty much virtually all Swedes speak English, which is incredible, I think, when you actually, because you kind of understand the young people, right? They actually learn English because internet. But the older generation, I was really surprised because their English is amazing. And they just switch so quickly as well. As soon as you're actually in the street and you kind of go, excuse me, because someone talked to you or you're looking for information, they just switch to English. And actually speaking English for them is actually a pleasure because I guess they speak Swedish all the time. So whenever they have to speak English with someone, their faces like light up, and now they're speaking to you with a big smile. So yeah, it was actually a really really smooth transition. Also at Dice, pretty much everyone speaks English. Like you can barely hear Swedish. You hear Swedish here and there, but like most people working at Dice speak English in the meetings. Speak English. So yeah, it was really really smooth. Um, there was something bad about that because as soon as you leave that Dice bubble, you kind of have to obviously go into society and go into your shopping and all that stuff. And every sign is in Swedish. Everyone is speaking Swedish to each other, and you don't really like get, when you go walk down the street and you hear people talking, it's almost like mute. That's like you don't understand anything at all. So that was bizarre for me for a while. You get used to it after a while, but yeah, it's bizarre. Makes you feel a little bit like outside of the bubble. So yeah. Will you ever do a live Twitch stream of you animating a walk, a run, or attack combo? Yes, I've been thinking about that. I don't know if I'm going to do it anytime soon. because the thing is, doing the videos that I do every week, I can actually record them here and home, and then edit them. Excuse me, edit them and put them out there for you guys to see. If I have to animate something like I used to in the beginning, for example, the God of War piece or whatever, I have to do it incredibly fast. So yeah, well, you guys probably don't know this, but like I used to animate those things in like about 4 days, and I used to spend about like, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours maybe animating every day, which is not a lot. And I had to actually kind of keep focus, like super focus, in order to be able to finish the piece on time and have one video every week at that point. And that took so much work every single time, because not only do you have to do the animation in about 4 days, and then you still have only a few days to actually kind of get all the video, chop it up, edit it together, put the music, put the titles. So that's the whole week, basically. That's basically the 7 days that I have to put a video. So there was no days off. Every single day I was working. I was waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning, going to bed at like 1 o'clock in the evening. So it was incredibly hard. So doing it live, obviously, will be much easier, spending a couple of hours so you guys can answer questions, definitely better. So that's why I've been thinking about it. I just don't know when I'm going to do it. This new live thing is new to me, but based on today, it seems like I need to do it more because you guys are kicking ass with all the questions. So thank you very much. Ivan, have you seen? No, I haven't seen this. Can you link it up in the comment section? It'd be awesome to see it. Rohit, love your episode on game engines. Thanks, man. Who else has seen it? Do you guys enjoyed it? Was it too complex, too simple? I don't know. It was like the first time that you tried to kind of explain engines. Like it's really complicated to explain engines to anyone that doesn't work in games. I'm pretty sure for those of you that are actually gamers, you guys know what engine does and are familiar at least in part on what it does and how it works. But for any animator out there that actually doesn't know about games or game engines, explaining engines is super difficult. So I had to find the best way to explain it. I hope it made sense. Yeah, chromosome. Thanks, man. I love the God of War God of War video. Thanks. Yeah, I that video took me I think it was about 4 months to make. That was going to be my first video that I was going to do for YouTube, right? So a typical noob YouTuber, I was like, it needs to be perfect. I need to actually add this new thing, add the other thing. There was so much throwaway footage on that eventually my fiance was like, just put it out, just publish it. It's enough. You have enough. So I put it out there, and thankfully you guys liked it. So it was nice, a nice boost to actually know that you guys kind of liked it. But yeah, once again, I was super apprehensive to put it out there. Do you have to travel a lot as an animator? Yes, you do. Maybe after this quarantine thing, once again, maybe not. But before you do, and the reason why is mainly certain things are personal, certain things are not. I have a video about job hopping, Ruth, so you should check it out to make sure that you get more information about that. But yeah, some of it is personal, some of it is like job related. So there's companies that hire people on contracts, especially in LA, in the US. Contracts, so you work for the company for a few months or a year or two, and then at the end, normally you can either stay full time or they actually let you go. So that's one part why people move. The other part is like personal reasons. Game development is incredibly long, and especially if you crunch, it's taxing on you. So a lot of people by the end of the project are exhausted, so they just feel like trying something new after, because it's like, I've seen too much of this. I've like, this is way too much now. So I want to go and try something new. And also, as you start your career, Not anymore for me. But as you start realizing that actually you can work anywhere. You can work in Asia, America, Europe, all that stuff, and people are looking for your services. So you're gonna like, you know what? I fancy living in China, so I'm gonna go work in China, or I fancy living in Japan. Why not try my chances there? So you kind of travel quite a bit in the beginning because of that. It was exciting. To me, it was exciting to actually kind of see different places, different cities, different cultures. It was amazing. But yeah, after a while, as you get a family, as you become a bit more senior, you want to actually kind of stabilize yourself and be safe, be somewhere that you actually are like for a long period of time, right? So yeah, but watch that video on job hopping. I think he will actually give you a lot of information about that. Jake, do you play Last of Us? I haven't yet, but I have seen and heard how insane the animation is. And I wouldn't expect anything else from Naughty Dog. Those guys are amazing, cool, talented people, and they stop at nothing to make sure that animations are top notch. So, yeah, congrats to the team at Naughty Dog for actually another epic game. So, these are on my to do list in the games that I have to play. So, but I haven't really had a chance just yet. Should we note how much time we put down to create an animation? No, never do that, Aaron. Yeah, I think you'll feel very intimidated by you like by looking at the time and the hours that you put on. I never have done it, and I think if I did, I think I probably will never animate again because it's crazy how much time you put into your animations, especially if when you're having fun and the animation is coming on like better than you thought. Yeah, yeah. So don't do that, otherwise you'll scare yourself. Carlos, I'm thinking about going into animation after graduating, but I don't know what degree to major in college. Well, it depends where you live, really. There's a lot of countries here in the UK, Sweden, they have animation specific degrees, like I did. So if you have one of those, do that. If you don't, then art. Art is definitely the major that you should go for because even when you're not animating, illustrating will help your eye as an animator a lot because of posing, basically. Animation in its essence is just poses, basically. So if you know how to make the best poses, you know how to make the best animations. So if you know how to illustrate, it means that you spend a whole lot of time looking at lines and making sure that arm is in the correct place, making sure that the clavicle or the fingers or the hand pose is the correct pose in that angle. And that stuff makes you patience when you come to be an animator. I spent many, many years like illustrating for a long period of time. And I like to think that that's what makes me a good animator. It was because I was always looking for the nicest poses. And I used to pose myself into like take pictures and then try to replicate it and stuff. So art is definitely the way to go if you actually don't have any animation specific degrees. Antonio Guidetti, welcome, man. Nice to see you here again. So, how difficult it is to switch between VFX, games, and feature? I bet a lot of animators can do great in each. It's easy to switch between VFX and feature, I feel, because you are actually animating to camera. You have a director, you have a supervisor, the structure is the same, and the pipelines are linear, right? So one department follows each other, follows others, and the pipeline doesn't change, right? So you have animations after animations, you have rendering, or you have cloth or whatever, and just they just kind of go like super linearly, like from one department to the other until the shot is finished. Games is much more difficult to get into. If you actually come from features of VFX, games is like it's almost like going to a different industry. You need to be a certain type of animator in order to be in games. It's really difficult to explain, but it's true. I think, yeah, like when I actually explain like how to get into the games industry and all that stuff, the videos that I made about games, or how to be a gameplay animator, I talk a little bit about the technical mind that you have to have, and like the technicality behind the engine, and the fact that the pipelines are not linear. It's almost like they are circular, and you don't do one thing once. You normally have to do multiple times, and you have to break the things and work with the departments. It's incredibly collaborative. So working in games is the most, I think, is the most difficult one, and is the most difficult one to adapt to. Um, Having said that, there's a lot of animators and features that have moved to games. Same thing with VFX. So it's definitely not impossible. It's definitely possible. It's just that it's like a learning curve. It's almost like if you animate in 2D and then you have to know how to animate in Maya now. You have to learn something technical. You have to learn where the buttons are, and what is the graph editor, and what is a key in Maya versus in 2D, and what is the timeline, stuff like that, right? So yeah, I think that's the best description I can give. Let me know if this answers the question. Jacob asks how to find good rigs. Nowadays is really easy. JD, for example, he has a website, Spongella. No, he has a website. Look it up. He has a website that actually only deals with rigs and only publishes like the newest, coolest rigs. So it's really easy to find really good rigs nowadays. Yeah, just Google it. There's so many good rigs out there. The other day I saw one that was from like Avatar. Looked amazing. I really wanted to try that one. Abhishek, nice to see you here, man. So timelines differ between VFX and game animation. Yeah, so they do change a lot between the two. VFX, they're super aggressive. I worked in just the one project in VFX, and it's like you have dailies. So every day, your supervisor, your director reviews your shots, tells you colder, warmer, good, bad, whatever, and then you go back and either tweak it or start something else. And it's very much like militant in a way that like we need this by this day and no longer. And in the morning, if it doesn't work, no, your shot doesn't work, show me in the morning, in the afternoon, continue working, and then have to finish it by end of the day. So very much super structured, and needs to actually happen really quickly, because normally you have about 3 months to 6 months to finish a project. In games, you have a much longer timeline, because games take about 5 years, 2 years, 3 years to actually make. So the pressure is not so much into like finishing the assets specifically to a certain quality within this time. It's much more like, how does the asset feel in game? How does the animation make you feel? Does it need to be faster, slower? Do we need more variations? Do we need more animation logic in order to make it blend correctly? Does it feel good enough? Normally, you have to find a medium at some point that like, I would like my animations to be better, but this is good enough because of either money or time constraints. So yeah, it's a very different type of pressure. They're both like pressure, but very different types of pressure and timelines as well. Okay. Yes. So Frostbite says Matthias Christen. Yeah. So Matthias rigs, they are like the one that I use for the first person animation video that I made. So Matthias worked with me at Dice. He's still at Dice, and that rig is pretty good. It's super simple. but it's really, really good and sturdy. So that's one rig that you can use, definitely, if you're actually interested in first-person animations. But yeah, there's plenty of rigs out there that you can use. Okay, 2 hours is up, guys. Chromosome. Thank you very much for all the answers that you are giving me, that you are giving people. This is really cool. Highly appreciated. I think we should have like a most useful comments or commenter, in this case, Chromosome. Award goes to. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate that. He's been helping for you to answer some questions in between me explaining things as well here. Do the companies in US help you with work visa? Yes, they do. So the opportunities that I had offered to me, they always mentioned that they will actually kind of help me with the process of the visas and stuff like that, just like Chromosome is on the case mentioned. So yeah, they do. It's great. It normally takes quite a while though, especially now that things in America are a bit up and down. But yeah, they take a while. No problem, Ruth. Yes, Chromosome. My pleasure, trying my best. Yeah, thank you very much, man. Appreciate that. And Ruth, same thing, man. Same thing. Appreciate you coming over. And yeah, I think it's 2 hours. 2 hours is up. 2 hours and 2 minutes. I had my browser ready for you guys. I was gonna do this stuff, so I could actually kind of show you guys, do some reel reviews or animation shots reviews, but you guys didn't had any shots or reels to review. So maybe next time I can actually kind of review some animations for you guys, and maybe we can learn from that experience as well, because I think it's really useful for upcoming animators to see the reviews from other animators. So you guys are most welcome. Thank you for all your thank yous. Yeah, so Mark, yeah, real reviews will be amazing. Yeah, so next time they will do this, please bring your reels or bring your shots, animation shots, and then I can actually do some doodling on top of the screen, and then give you guys some tips and on how to make things better. Cool. So I shall see you guys in the next one. Thank you very, very much for joining me. It's been a pleasure. This video will probably be up on YouTube after we finish this, so anyone can see it after the fact. So hopefully some of these answers will help others as well. And have a great evening and a great weekend, everyone. See you guys later. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.